Today we're going to talk about the 5 factors to perfect bowstring length. And the fraternizing factors that the Flemish faces are 5-fold. First, find the fiber's face, feeling the forgiveness, not forgetting the far-fetched
Hey, Kaz?
frisbee.
Hey, Kaz, shouldn't we just get to the point?
First started making bowstrings, I bought my first spool of bowstring material like this. And I knew I had a limited amount to make a good bowstring. But the problem was it was very difficult to get the right length of string. You can be a 1/2 inch or 1 inch off and it just messes up everything because it doesn't even fit your bow. So today we're going to cover 5 things that'll help you make a bowstring the right length every time. The first thing that affects bowstring length is the type of material you're using.
For example, here we have B55, D97, and Fast Flight. At 60 inches, B55 is going to stretch about 1.5 inches, while Fast Flight's only going to stretch about 1.25 inches.
The second factor is where you start your second loop.
So first, you want to be sure you have enough material for your second loop. So if you're not using a string making jig, you want to make sure your 2 bundles are 20 inches longer than your desired length. So if you're making a 54.5 inch string, you want to make sure your 2 bundles are 74.5 inches long. Now, where you start your second loop is going to determine the length of your bowstring. Here's a chart of where you should start your second loop based on the length of string you have and the type of material. If you want more details, you can check out the Archery library, link in the description.
The other factor that will affect the length of the bowstring is the amount of twist in 2 ways. I have no clue what you're talking about. What is this?
So the amount of twist that you put in your string is going to affect the length. So first, the Flemish. If you make a super tight Flemish twist string, it's going to be shorter than if you make a super loose Flemish twist string. So you just have to figure out how you make your strings, and a tighter Flemish is going to make the string shorter. Secondly, you can twist the string, and this is the beauty of a Flemish twist string. You can twist it tighter and make it smaller once you're done. And you can also twist it looser to make it longer once you're done. So that's how the amount of twist can affect the length of bowstring.
Even though Kaz tested the limits of twisting a bowstring, and he tested one up to 10 inches, that does affect the shot. So I personally recommend 1 inch max. You don't want to twist it down 1/2 inch more or untwist it 1/2 inch up. 1 inch max, I would say, is your play max, maybe even less.
Yeah.
Because it's going to feel like you're shooting a guitar string. A factor that you need to take into account is the size of your second loop.
So the size of your second loop is going to make a big difference on how long your bowstring is, because when you pinch off the bundles, then you're adding the loop size to that. So if you're making your second loop the bottom loop, your string is going to be shorter than if you're making the second loop the top loop. The chart that we made is designed if your second loop is the top loop.
Another interesting factor that affects the length of your bowstring is the length of your string, like Kaz explained.
Yeah, it makes sense because let's say you're making a B55 string. If you make it at 44 inches, it's going to stretch much less than if you make it at 74 inches. So the chart is also adjusted for that, so you can see what length you're trying to make your string, and based on that chart, start the second loop at that point.
Just think of it this way. Think of it like a rubber band. Think of having a massive exercise band for a gym, and you can pull that and stretch it 10 feet out. But if you have a little rubber band like this, you can only stretch it just a little bit. That's the same thing with a bowstring. A smaller bowstring is not going to stretch as much as a really long bowstring.
That's a good point.
If you're new to bowstring making, that's what we do most. That's what we do best every single day for a few years now. So we've made more videos on bowstring making than anything except bow making, which our goal is not to confuse you, but to help you out. So that's why
we got to the point. and don't worry if you mess it up. You can always take the second loop apart and try again, like this.
Yes, that's a really good thing. But if you do that, you need to make sure you get your back twist accurate again.
Well, actually, don't even change the back twist unless the back twist is off. because you're not letting any twist out. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
But you do have to untwist the loops so that they, yeah, now we're getting into the depths. You do have to untwist this part so that it lies smoothly with the, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
If you are struggling with the length of your string, make as many things a constant as possible. So try to do the same tightness of twist each time. Make the same loop size each time. Because if you're not measuring the loop size, you can mess it up like 4 times.
Kramer, do you think you should just get to the point? Let him
Out.
Let him go.